Good evening. My name is Ted. I'm a grateful recovered alcoholic. My sobriety date is 4/20/2017. Imagine that, marijuana day, 4/20. I have a sponsor. I have worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, and I continue to practice these principles in all my affairs to the best of my ability. I'm not perfect. We do make mistakes, but the cool thing about sobriety is I understand a mistake, and I can fix it. I don't have to drink over it anymore. So that's a cool thing. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. It's humbling, and it's an absolute honor to be asked to do this. There's not much, matter of fact, there's nothing I'm going to say no to. I've given my life to this program, and in turn, this program gave me my life back. And tonight, my wish is to talk a little bit about what it was like, what happened, and what things are like now. You're going to hear a lot of different things, and I will tell you this, my story starts with a drink and ends with a drink. But there's a whole lot of other stuff in between there. And with respect to Alcoholics Anonymous, I will try not to divulge or too much of that or dive into too much of that, but it is part of my story. It's a huge part of my story. And not only did alcoholism, but drug addiction took me to places that no human being should ever have to experience. And I believe many would agree with that. Again, I was born January 28, 1970, just turned 50 in January. And, all in all, this recovery stuff and working in recovery and helping out where I can, it always seems to go back to your youth. We're going to start when you were a kid, because of trauma and people drink and drug because of trauma or sexual abuse and all these things. And I'm here to tell you, man, I had a great childhood. I came from a wonderful family. I had a great childhood. We celebrated birthdays, Christmases, holidays, big family gatherings. I could not have asked for a better mother and father or a family, sister and all that. I mean, it was absolutely perfect. But what do you think the common denominator was in all of that? Starts with an A. Alcoholism. 100% alcoholism. And the thing that I noticed from a young age was professionalism. So you've got alcoholism, professionalism, and personal life. And I'm going to dive deep into that here in just a little bit. My point is, while everybody in my family was loving and great and successful and had professions, they were train wrecks in personal life. Why? Because they suffered from alcoholism. We had some cases of if you want to call it drug addiction, there was drug usage somewhere, but 99% of my family that experienced alcohol were alcoholic. And you're going to notice that I speak a lot about professional life, personal life. Everybody's heard high-functioning alcoholic, high-functioning addict, whatever you want to call it, high-functioning. Right, and I saw that from a young age. I would see the gatherings and the parties in the family and all this, but everybody was drinking. And everybody drank to extremes. But you know what? The sun would go down, the sun would come up, and off to work they went. They were professional. And most everybody in my family was successful. Now, there were things that would happen, and they would recover from it. And knowing what I know now, looking back, it was a direct result of alcoholism. My father filed for bankruptcy when I was 9 years old. He was the vice president of Bank of Virginia. Filed for bankruptcy. At the time, I didn't know. He went on with it. Things turned around. He's successful again. I know now it was alcoholism that caused that. DUIs. A couple folks in my family got DUIs. How's that possible? Get through it. They're back on track. They're riding high. It's alcoholism did it. Divorce. Not many of those, but there were some. But my point is, it all came back to alcoholism, the consumption of alcohol. So at a young age, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. So I think I had my first drink, 10, 11 years old. And here's the thing it did for me. I absolutely loved what it did to me. I liked who I was. I wasn't ashamed of who I was. But I'm here to tell you right now, when I put that liquid into my body, I knew exactly what I fell in love with. And I stayed in love with it for the next 40 some odd years of my life. And I knew instantaneously why everybody in my family drank. We say we're predisposed to the addiction or to the disease of alcoholism. I believe that 100%. 100%. My mom used to tell me all the time, son, you be careful, you got that alcoholic gene in your body. And at first I was like, I don't know if I know. Well, she was right. She was exactly right. My mother, if you had to define the word angel, you'd see Kayla Neer right in the dictionary. My mother, she was unlike any of us. She was the patriarch. So, but she always used to tell me that. And I just, that's not true. It's not true. I can handle it. And I thought I did for many, many years. Again, burned through high school. And my first thought was, after seeing all that growing up, I was like, you know what, I can do what I want to do as long as I maintain some type of a profession, carry myself professionally, be a professional. Who cares what I do in my personal life? Because I'm going to do it. My family did it. They're fine, or at least I thought they were. So why don't we do that? So it's kind of weird how that spilled into me at a young age, and how it set the stage for the rest of my life. So again, growing up, everything's fine. Burned through high school. My first exposure to something profession or something good at it, because everything I ever wanted to do, I wanted to be good at it. I had to be good at it because I knew at the end of the day there was a drink or something else I could put in my body to reward myself. My family did it, why can't I do it? And I did it. But the first time I knew that was going to not really work out was I burned through high school and was going to play college football. All right, lost all my scholarships. And in my mind, I lost all my scholarships because I was too busy drinking, using other substances, and partying. But at the time, I blamed it on the coach. It's his fault. He didn't give me the scholarships, or he didn't tell me. He didn't prepare me. So I started going down that slippery slope, like, wait a minute, I can't do this. I'm supposed to stand out. I'm supposed to be this professional. You know what I mean? This can't happen. So I struggled with a little bit there for a few years. And again, the drinking never slowed down. I'm a product of the 80s. I was 13 in 1983. I was 19 in 1989. Man, I lived the 80s teen life, 100%. The alcohol was plentiful, the drugs were good, and the partying was out of this world. And I loved every minute of it. So around about the age of 18, get out of high school, 19, I'm doing nothing. I'm working landscaping, odd jobs, this, that, and the other, but I'm drinking every single day. I'm drinking every day. I wake up in the morning and start drinking. And you ask yourself, and I sometimes, how did I do that? I don't know if it's sheer willpower. I don't know if it was the fear of not being somebody professional, or was I scared of people knowing what I was doing, but I did it. And I did it a lot, and I did it for many years. And finally, sometime when I was around 19 years old, I had gone to the hospital. I had induced a little bit too much of something. I had to be hospitalized, checked myself out the next day, and I walked home. I'd been kicked out of my house. My parents had told me to leave. And I walked home. I'll never forget, I walked home and knocked on the door. Why not? Because the locks were changed. They didn't want a teenage drunk around. I'll never forget, my dad opened the door, and I was sitting there crying. I said, Dad, I got to do something. He said, I don't know what there is to do for you, son. I said, I need to join the military. That's what I need to do. And off I went. He took me to the recruiting station, and I did 22 years in the military. Had the greatest career of my entire life. I joined when I was 1989, and I retired 1 May 2011. I did 22 years. I did 10 years in the regular Army, 12 in Special Forces. I graduated. I retired with an impeccable record. Accolades, awards, combat deployments, you name it. I've traveled all over this world, but once again, what's that common denominator? I'm an alcoholic. Through and through. Because what it did was, it didn't change me from drinking. It gave me what I'd always been looking for and what I'd always seen growing up, that profession. So if I'm good at that, who cares what I do over here? Who cares if I drink all night long? As long as I show up, suit up, and get this thing done with every day, who's going to stop me? So now in the military, it becomes rank, position, power. So now you've got an alcoholic who starts to make rank and position. Now I get this power. You're really not going to stop me now. And it gets worse as the story goes on. So I joined the military, and oddly enough, even though I joined the military, my first thought in my mind was, I want to go to Germany. And the only sole reason I wanted to go to Germany, because there ain't no drinking age. There's no drinking age in Germany. So here I am, I'm 19 years old, drinking alcoholically, inducing everything else, and I'm off to the land of no drinking age. And oh, by the way, I can go into nightclubs, and I can do whatever. The beers are this big, and the hashish is really, the whole nine. So off I go. So I get there, and everything's great. I fell in love with what the military had to offer, and I found something I was good at. And I was exceptionally good at it, and I loved it. But I will tell you this, that there's a huge drinking culture in the military. Anybody with military friends, family, former prior service? If you do, you know. Not that it's the only thing, but drinking is a part of the military. It's guys, we're going to get together, right arm night. We have some beers after work, and your first sergeants and sergeants majors and your platoon sergeants and all this, at the end of the day, 1,600 everybody at the Rod and Gun Club, we're going to drink beer, and you didn't say no, you didn't. So this was the environment, the society I lived in. Again, it was during the Cold War. We still deployed to the border between East and West Germany, but everywhere we went, when we would deploy, there was always time to drink. There would be a canteen set up when we were set up on the Czechoslovakian border or the East German border. There was to be a canteen set up when we went to Hohenfels at Grafenwehr to shoot gunnery. I mean, there was always there was always beer. The soda machines in the barracks had beer in them. You could drink at lunch. I mean, you could drink at lunch. And again, I was fortunate. I caught the tail end of the old Army prior to it switching. Now you can't do that anymore. It's not like that anymore. But I got a taste of it years ago. But anyways, my point is, so it was part of my life. It was part of everything we ever did. There was always a reason to drink. And then deep down inside, I wanted there to be a reason because I loved it so much. I didn't want to feel as if I'm doing it and somebody would look at me like, that guy's got a drinking problem. Hell, I could buy a case of beer and a carton of Marlboro cigarettes for $9. That's pretty cheap, it was just accessible. So, and early in my career, I'll never forget one day, I remember being standing in formation, the guy behind you's holding you up so you don't fall out. You've been drinking all night long, and I thought, wow, this is going to be pretty cool. I think I can keep up with this. I'm a pretty tough dude. Until one day we had my first sergeant. If you're not familiar with the military, he's a high-ranking non-commissioned officer. He stands in front of the formation. He's calling us to attention, all that stuff. And the first words out of his mouth one day, I'll never forget this. They've stuck with me all my life. He looked at me, and it was like on a Monday morning as a couple of folks had been late for formation. He said, he's an old Vietnam vet. And I'm not scared of too many things in this world, but that man, I was petrified of it. And he always rocked back on his heels, and he'd flex his fingers like this. And I thought, oh, my God, his name was William B. McHugh. And I thought, if looks could kill, I'm going to die right now. He looked out across all the men, and he said, I got one thing to tell you guys. He said, if you're going to stay out and hoot with the owls, you'd best be able to soar with the eagles. And I'm going to tell you right now, I was the wrong person to hear that advice, because from that moment on, it was game on. So this guy just told me what Teddy heard was, I can drink all night long, and as long as I show up here at 6:30 in the morning, it don't matter. Don't matter what it smell like, look like, whether I can stand or not. If I show up and do my job, I'm going to be what? Successful. Kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's all about that professional, successful thing. Who cares what I do in my personal life, because I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to do what I want when I want, and I'm going to do it no matter at any cost, no matter what anybody says. I'm going to do it because, well, I'm good at it. I was good at my profession. I was good at alcoholism. At least I thought I was. I know now that was just a sick way of thinking. I'm proud to drink people under the table. I think I speak for a lot of folks when I say that. That was something awesome. Yeah, we're going to drink. We'll drink all night. That was a common denominator for my entire life. And I stayed in the military, but I did good. Did I get in trouble at times in the military? Absolutely, I did. And of course, it was everybody else's fault, not mine. It was the cab driver's fault. It was the bartender's fault. It was a German dude down the road. It was the other unit's fault. No, it was my fault. They were all alcohol-related incidences. Every bit of trouble that I ever got into was a direct result of alcoholism. Period. 100%. There was no chance in count. There was no mistake. It was nothing. It was because I was an alcoholic. Period. And I know that now. And I never could do it right. I never could do it socially. I never could just have one and be over with. You know what I mean? The party would be over and normal people would go to bed. I'd stay up all night, I'd stay up all night till I could not go anymore. And it was lights out. Get right back up and do it again. But again, everything was great in the military. Again, I'm thinking, I'm doing wonderful in my profession. Train wreck my personal life. Who cares? Nobody cares. Nobody's going to see me because I'm that good. Why? Because I can lie. Now I'm a good liar. I can cheat and I can steal. And I'm going to do what I want so you don't think any less of me. Because I'm a people pleaser, right? I'm going to please. I'm going to give you your due diligence. But am I really sincere about it? Absolutely not. Because I don't want you to know I'm an alcoholic. I don't want you to know the dirty little secrets and the habits that I have. So this goes on, obviously we go on into Desert Storm, Bosnia, and all these deployments. You think to yourself, well, this guy's in, how can you let me tell you something. There's always a way to find something to drink. I have found ice cold Foster's lagers in the middle of Afghanistan, not nobody within hundreds of miles of me, and we find alcohol. It can be found. I mean, I'm an alcoholic. I know I can get the booze, But no, so, and again, the military was wonderful. And I tell you, here's where it takes a little twist. From 1990, 1995, and 1999. There are 3 days in my life that are ingrained in my mind forever, and those 3 days include an opiate medication. Took a Tylox in 1990, took a Percocet in 1995, took a hydrocodone in 1999. I can tell you exactly what I was doing, where I was, what I was wearing, why I took it, how I got it, and what I thought about it. And I'm here to tell you right now, those did the same thing that alcohol did. I loved the way it made me feel. And I knew right then and there that along with my friend alcohol, I've got a really good friend with it now. And I took it to the extreme. From 1999 on, I was hooked for 17 years, 17 years, 18 years, on top of untreated alcoholism. And I remember those 3 things. So from 1999, I figured out how to work the system. I was on an opiate prescription from 1999 to 2007. If I wasn't on an opiate prescription, I had dealers. I bought them off the street. I'd rob you blind. I could talk to anybody in 10 minutes and figure out whether or not they took them. And if they did, if they liked them. If they didn't, I knew where they kept them in their house. I'd go back that night and I'd steal them. I'd steal them from you. And if I ran across your liquor cabinet and anything else I wanted, I'd take it from your house. 100%. Right? Because there was nothing that was going to get in my way of getting what I wanted. And all the while, I'm this guy in the military. I'm this professional. I'm this professional. My career, like I said, my career was amazing. I ended up retiring as a master sergeant, and I'm a Order of the Legion of Merit. I mean, the combat deployments, I've deployed to Afghanistan 3 times, Iraq twice, numerous combat deployments in other places throughout the Middle East that a lot of people don't ever hear about. And I did really well. But the whole time, I am ate up with alcoholism. I'm ate up with it. I can't stop. Nothing good in this world, to include getting married and having kids, nothing would stop me from drinking. Nothing would. And to be quite honest with you, I don't think I ever remember a time I was like, I think I'm just going to stop. Why would I want to stop when I'm doing so good? Because who cares if I've hurt your feelings? Who cares if I've stolen from you? Who cares if I've lied to you? Who cares? I don't care. Because don't matter to me. What only matters to me is what I want to matter to me. And I'm not going to let anybody get in my way to do it. And I lived that life for years. I ruined marriages, or I've ruined my marriage. I'll get into that in a little bit. I've ruined friendships. I've done some irreversible damage to certain people, both physically and emotionally. I've done a lot of damage emotionally to family members and my children at the cost of not wanting to do what was right, because I can't stop. You see, I got to the point where I simply could not stop putting something in my body. I simply could not. And if I couldn't drink 24/7, I'm a smart guy, right? I'm a smart drunk. I'm a smart addict. If I could go with a little, but I can't go without anything. So now we start mixing and concocting. If I start my day off with a drink and I take this in the afternoon, that's going to keep me up. And then this little drink here, it's just a sick, twisted world. I mean, it's all this rationalization in my mind that I can keep doing this and stay successful. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the heart, the soul, the mind can only take so much. Eventually, it's going to get you. And it got me. Thank God it got me before anything. I'm just glad it got me when it did. So again, go through life. The career's great. I will tell you this. Another thing I had an insatiable appetite for was infidelity. Got caught cheating on my wife numerous times, and was always able to lie to get out of it. It was, I'm a good liar, right? Lied to get out of it, and I did. But again, like the alcoholism, it only can take so much. You can only lie for so long, and it's going to catch you. And it caught me in a bad way. I ended up retiring from the military, and I thought, well, what's next? Now I've got to come up with another profession. And not to mention, I got to be able to finance my habits. All right. because going to the bar ain't cheap. The rounds on me at the house ain't cheap, because I'm going to do that. Hey, there's a guy that buys everybody a drink in the bar. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. If I got to drop 5 G's in the bar, I'm going to do it, and I did it. So how am I going to make that kind of money? I'm on contract. So now you got a guy that's fully retired from the military, impeccable career. I've saved my reputation in the special operations community, of which I still work at now as a GS civilian. Now it's time to contract. How much can a contractor make? $650 a day. Oh, shit. Really? You guys don't take taxes out either? Nope. And that's why I just received a bill from the IRS the other day in the amount of about $57,000. Okay. And that's what contracting to get you. When they hand a drug addict or an alcoholic a $20,000 check, here's a $30,000 check. You think for 1 second I put any of that money back in the bank? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Excuse me. And that's how I live. And I did that for several years contracting. And again, just burning through everything, burning through my wife, burning through my kids. I would steal tip money from my daughter, for Christ's sakes. My wife is a cancer survivor. There was a fund that was put together in an amount of $7,000. I stole $2,700 of it and spent it on booze, partying, and drugs. Wife in the hospital, having a mastectomy. That's what alcoholism does. It destroys you. It destroys everything about. It destroyed everything about me. It destroyed my morals, at least. But here we go again. I wasn't going to let you see that. I wasn't going to break. I was not going to falter, because I didn't do it. Right? Did you see me steal the money? No. Take that shit elsewhere. And that's how visceral. That's how angry. That's kind of a mean person that I had become. Extremely mean. So this goes on for a little bit more, and then finally in 2000, I helped work for one company, and I helped stand up another companies that specialized in working for special operations units, scenario-based training, and we traveled all over the United States. Greatest time, and in 2015, a job came open on Fort Bragg. I'm currently to date, I'm a urban warfare and shooting instructor. I work at a place on Fort Bragg. I'm a GS-11 employee, government employee. So this job comes open in 2015. For a brief moment, I thought to myself, maybe this might help a little bit. I don't know, maybe I might get some normalcy, maybe some routine, structure. Maybe that's what I need. And in my mind, I'm thinking that. I was like, nah, I'm good. This is the way it is. I'm going to be this way for the rest of my life. The claws they're dug into me. I'm done. I might as well get used to it. Well, I've been good at it for so many years. Let's keep on trucking with it. 2015 comes around, I get this job. I'm back in the special operations community. I'm working for guys that used to work for me. Now I'm working for them. How cool is this, right? I'm the old man. Get Lanier here. Ted, he'll do anything, and I was good at what I did. It was really good. But I talk about how the mind, body, and soul can only take so much. By this point in time, and it had been for years, the drinking is way out of control. As you've probably heard many, many times, we talk about how the drink doesn't work anymore. The drugs are starting to not work. The opiates, that is. The booze is becoming to the point where it's got to be triple and quadruple in the amount. So when the opiates don't work, what do? We turn to something stronger. And I'll let you guys put 2 and 2 together. Because if it ain't going to work going up my nose or in my mouth, it's going to work another way. I can assure you of that. And when that doesn't happen, there's an alternative to it as well. But all of it went well with alcohol. Every bit of it did. How am I supposed to swallow a pill if I can't drink, right? You know what I'm saying? Put it all together, why not? Hey, man, I won the lottery. I'm dual diagnosed. I'm here to tell you. If I knew this podium would have given me a buzz, I'd have probably ate it 3.5 years ago. But it's fact. It's the truth. It's sick. It's how sick we get. It's how sick my mind had gotten. So this goes on, and so now I'm starting to have some issues with some psychological issues, some PTS issues pop up. Tried to commit suicide twice, failed on 2 different attempts. Tried to overdose myself, couldn't do it. Woke up both times. Muscle through that. I keep driving through that, but things are starting to fall apart a little bit. Now things are starting to get weird, and I tell this story. I was fortunate enough to be on the Today Show a couple of years ago, and I tell this story about how I woke up one morning in February of 2017. I woke up and I was just tired. I was simply tired. And to this day, I don't know what, it was just tired. I wasn't sleepy tired. And I'll never forget. Now remember, let me preface this with, you've got this guy that's been an amazing professional all his life. I've been very successful, but I'm a train wreck of a human being, a train wreck. So far, these worlds haven't collided yet. February of 2017, I remember I woke up that day, I came to work, I was feeling off. Something didn't feel right. I felt like I was just tired. Talked to a few buddies of mine that had some positive words of encouragement, but I needed more than that. But I didn't think that I'd try to shake it off. So I got my 5-man cell. We go down range. I'm getting ready to demo a shooting drill. I've been shooting guns all my life. That's what I do to date. That's all I know how to do is shoot. Getting ready to demo the drill, draw stroke my pistol, pull my gun out. Guess who can't pull the trigger? I can't. Guess who can't do his job? I can't. Guess who just lost his professionalism? Me. Right then and there, that professional world I talk about and that personal world, that's when they collided. Bam. They collided. And I knew I was done. I was done dealing. I knew it was over. I had taken enough. And I'll never forget that day. I took my gun belt off, dropped it on the table, and I walked up top to a certain group of individuals whom I work for and looked at them square in the eye and I said, guys, I need some help. I'm a bona fide drug addict, alcoholic. And if I don't get help today, I'll not live to see another one. It was the hardest words I've had to say in my entire life. But the flip side is, from that moment on, I started to live. I decided to make a decision to live. I figured if I'm going to put as much effort into my life that I'd put into everything else negative and bad that I'd done in my life, I might have a chance. I might have a small chance. It's a small chance, but it's a chance nonetheless. It's a chance I never thought I'd have. Could I stop drinking and drugging? Absolutely not. But here's what I could do. I could start looking for a solution. I still had enough left in me to think, I tried to kill myself twice. I'm still here. Somebody's telling me something. Let's get busy with this. Couldn't stop. I might have slowed down on some other things, but I could not put the drink down. And there's some other things I just simply could not stop. I was taken off my committee, had my guns taken away, my security clearance, my keypad codes, everything. And I started researching treatment facilities. I immediately was enrolled in TSS counseling here in Aberdeen. I started to see a therapist 3 times a month. And then I found this place called Warrior's Heart. Warrior's Heart was a treatment center that was developed about 4.5 years ago, specifically for veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and EMTs. I figured I had to go somewhere where I could relate to somebody. And that's not a knock on anything else, it's just me. I mean, that's the only thing I know is that warrior class. That's the only thing I knew. They were in their infancy, about a year and some change they had been around. I called them up, I'm like, hey, I need some help. And it's a private treatment facility. Do you guys take TRICARE? Nope, we don't. Couldn't go. I was devastated. But I found a place. I was going to go to Denton, Texas, some behavioral health place. I was going to take my shoelaces off, and it was a psych ward is what it was, but I was bound and determined to go. And in the final hours, a good friend of mine heard what had happened to me. His name is Tom Satterley. He runs a nonprofit organization now called All Secure Foundation. I'm one of their ambassadors. He said, that's not good enough. We're going to get you where you need to go. Long story short, he introduced me to a very gracious gentleman out in St. Louis who owns the largest grading company in the Midwest. And the guy paid for my treatment. I took a $50,000 gamble on an alcoholic junkie. Wow. Never met the man before in my life until about a month and a half ago. I finally got to meet him, and I'll tell you that in a minute. So off to treatment I go. I go to treatment. So what's happening here? All these things are happening. Who's in charge now? It ain't me, and it ain't Mr. Kolb and all his money, and it's God. Period. 100%. That's God working in my life at a young age. I'm not even sober yet. I still got this in me, but He's working in my life because I think right then and there I became willing, not the willing that I need to stay sober, but I started to become willing for the first time in my life to do something that I wasn't comfortable doing. So the ball starts going. I'm like, wow, here I go. I get to go down there. So I go there. I had to go to detox for a week or so. I had to get me off some pretty heavy stuff. Almost died in detox. Some complications and some other things. Get through detox. I hit the ground running. I go to Warrior's Heart. And I'm here to tell you right now, I loved it so much. I get down there, and the first thing they told me was, hey, welcome home. And a lot of people are like, what does that mean, welcome home? Let me tell you something. I've been at home, so to speak, and that's I've never felt home like I was home. And that's not a knock on friends and family. They didn't know, but I just always felt like I was never home. I was always out and far away. And the first thing they tell you, to date, welcome home. Now let's get to work. And it was work. I mean, we worked. It is a treatment facility that is a 12-step facility. We specialize. I say we because I'm the executive director for Warriors Heart Foundation. I was just nominated for that position about 2 weeks ago for the treatment center that I went to. It's an incredible story. But we specialize in mild traumatic brain injury, PTS, which is nothing more than unprocessed trauma, and disease or alcoholism and addiction. And I learned a lot about myself. I learned about why I had the feelings that I felt. I learned about, there was some things that were wrong with me as to why. Yes, it was hereditary, and yes, I liked the way it felt. But you know what? There's some things that were deep down inside of me that I didn't realize. Because here we go. Now I'm giving the stuff I think was a bunch of crap, I'm giving it a shot because, A, I'm sober, and you know what? It works. Therapy works. It works. I mean, I was never going to know that until I got cleaned up. And it was work. They turned me inside and out. And when I get down there, I'm hearing the things I need to hear, not what I want to hear. Because I'm a guy that if I don't get my way, I'm going to steamroll you. I'm going to get what I want. And I think I tried that one time with one of the counselors. And I will not use the explicative language that we exchanged in her office. But that, for the first time in my life, I decided to, how about I just shut my mouth and keep my ears open? And I did. And I never looked back. Because I thought it's treatment. F you. Are we done yet? Female Air Force, E8. She hammered me like I'd never been hammered. She damn near throttled me, verbally. And I said, yes, ma'am, I'm just going to sit right here and finish up my 15 minutes with you. And I never want to say another word again. But I needed that. I needed that. A lot of people say, well, that's not very nice. Yeah, it is. That's what I needed. That's what I needed. Because I was going to steamroll her, Wasn't falling for this. And I tell you, the rest is history. I went down there, I stayed down there, I kept extending because I wanted more. I went through some really intense EMDR therapy. And I talk about in combat, the thing about going to combat is an amazing thing. It's a scary thing. It's a rewarding thing. And I'm here to tell you right now, closing with and destroying the enemy did not bother me at all. I did what I had to do, and that's that. Didn't bother me at all. However, there was one instance that human life was taken that I didn't understand at my hands. I didn't understand it. It was done in a manner of which I wasn't used to doing it. And I couldn't understand that. And that bothered me for many, many years. EMDR therapy taught me how to compartmentalize that so I can talk about it. I would used to bring it up and I'd develop a stutter. Now, I've been talking for about 45 minutes, and I'm pretty sure the last thing out of your heads would be, that guy ain't going to stutter. I don't. But I'm here to tell you it was so psychologically traumatic, I would stutter and I would cry and snub because I didn't understand it. I learned that PTS is nothing more than unprocessed trauma, and that EMDR therapy helped me to process it so I can compartmentalize it, not forget it, remember it, learn from it, and speak to people about it. Tell people about my story. It works. So all these great things happen. So again, we finish up treatment, drive back to North Carolina, and now this thing called sober life has been absolutely astonishing. I'm here to tell you, we can sit here all night long and talk about war stories and amounts we did and this, that, and the other. But what I want to do is tell you about the wonderful world of sobriety and the great things that, because of God, I have. And are those materialistic things? So what? But here's what I have. I have peace of mind. I have serenity. I have, 3, 6, 8, 10. I have 12 new friends tonight. Some I'm already friends with. And that's priceless. That's priceless. I know there's 12 people in this room. If I make a phone call like that, they're there for me and I for them, 100%. And that is a direct reflection of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. That is a direct reflection of living a sober life, of which I was given the tools to do. Now, has it been tough? Absolutely it is. My sponsor, Frank, always tells me, you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. And then when them bad days come and you get your teeth kicked in, what are you going to do? You're going to leave them laying on the floor, or are you going to pick them up and put them back in your mouth? I choose to pick them up and put them in my mouth these days. Because it's going to happen. You're talking to a guy that less than a year into my sobriety, major back surgery, back on opiates, no relapse. You know why? Because I went in with a plan. Warrior's Heart told me how to plan the rest of my life. I had to do a mission file. I had to plan the rest of my life. What are you going to do if you see a doctor? What are you going to do if that doesn't work and they offer you this? Planned it all out. Opiates, no relapse. My father, best friend in the world, died 2 years ago. I knew what would take that pain away. He was my best friend. Let me tell you something. There was no other man in this world like my father. And I knew what would take that pain away. I knew it would take it away, but I didn't drink. I didn't drink. I didn't use anything. If you want to know why, it's a direct reflection of the Alcoholics Anonymous. Period. Talking to my sponsor, doing every single thing that I was asked, are you willing to do or willing to go to any lengths to get and stay sober? Absolutely, yes I am. And I'm tested on it every single day. Some days are easier than others. I'll admit that. But some of the beautiful things. A year and a half in, like I said earlier, I was on the Today Show. People like me can't call stuff like that. The Today? Are you serious? I'm in New York. I'm on the Today Show, the live show, with the clinical director of Warrior's Heart, Vonnie Nealon, who is a very dear friend of mine. I'm on the Today Show a year and a half into sobriety. If that's not God working in your life, I don't know what is. You know, but it's humbling. It's humbling because I was offered a chance to share my message nationally. And I did. And I said it on there, and I'll say it again. I say it every time. There's absolutely not a podium, not a platform, group of people that I won't stand in front of and open my book to you. Because I've been given this great gift, you see. Who am I to keep it to myself? How selfish is that? I keep that to myself. That makes me that same selfish, self-centered drug addict that I was for 30, 40 years. Would you agree? Absolutely. It ain't mine to keep. It's mine to learn from. It's mine to live with. But it's mine to give and pass to the next person every single day. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. I'm not perfect. But now I know the difference between making a mistake and not learning from those mistakes. Warrior's Heart has brought me, and treatment has brought me so many wonderful things. I think I mentioned earlier, I was about 2 years into my sobriety. I was offered to be on the board of advisors for the Warrior's Heart Foundation. You have Warrior's Heart Foundation, profit, nonprofit side of the house. I'm on the board of advisors for the Warrior's Heart Foundation. I am a recovered drug addict alcoholic who is reviewing paperwork for scholarship funding to help other people come in and get treatment. How cool is that? How cool is that? You know, and then I go down there I go down there about 2 or 3 times a week. I go down there and the clinicians entrust me to teach a class on relapse prevention. I get to teach a class on post-treatment success. State of North Carolina picked me to be the keynote speaker for the One Community and Recovery Conference this year. I spoke to over 300 people in the field, the professional field of therapy, mental health, drug addiction, and alcoholism. Me. How is that possible? I'll tell you exactly how it's possible. 3 letters. G-O-D. Along with the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Along with willingness. Along with doing whatever it takes to stay sober. 100%. And all these great things, I go back down to Warrior's Heart. They nominated me to be the executive director of the Warrior's Heart Foundation. You know, and when it happened, I walked outside and I was looking down the road to the gates and I thought to myself, wow, 3.5 years ago. 3.5 years ago, almost 4. Who would have called that? That's God working in my life, 100%. And I tell you right now, those things are great. The materialistic things, the titles, that's all wonderful. That's good. But the single most greatest thing that I have received in sobriety is not to have that craving. Not to have that obsession. Have that obsession removed due to a spiritual experience. Removed. That outweighs anything that's tangible in my life that's ever happened well. Anything. I can't compare it to nothing. Life has been an absolute joy. Again, just like in my abusing and drinking years, there were some highs. It was good times. I was successful. And there's still low times now. Matter of fact, I say today. Today's the day that me and my wife and I have 30 years separated today. 30 years of marriage. Today we separated. And I can honestly tell each and every one of you that there's not one single place in this world I'd rather be than right here in this room. Period. Because being in this room keeps those thoughts at bay. Being in these rooms keeps that drink away. Being in these rooms keeps that drug away. Being in these rooms keeps me closer to God, the reason that I'm clean and sober today. Are we going to be just fine? Absolutely. You know, I did a lot of damage. And we tried to work things through, and it just isn't going to work. You know, but here's the cool thing. This has been a year in the process. Today was the day. Today's the day we split assets, we cut ties, we changed bank accounts. And I can honestly look myself in the mirror, and I've talked to my sponsor, my grant sponsor about this, all my clinicians at Warriors Heart. I can honestly look at myself in the mirror today and know that I did the right thing. I did the right thing for us, and I'm doing the right thing for her to set her up in her success. I've gone the extra mile to do what I know is right, and I could not do that if I was not clean and sober. And I feel good about it. Is it sad? Yes, it's sad. Absolutely, it's sad. Cool thing is, our lawyers told us, they said, I sure wish we could work with two people like you guys. Y'all are easy to work with. Anybody argue? You know. So and even to this day, we kind of grinned about it. So it's bittersweet. You know, it's bittersweet. It's just unfortunate that certain things can't be fixed. But I would tell you this: despite all that, I'm right where I need to be. I'm right here with the people that I need to be with. 100%. 100%. I can't think of any other place in this world I'd rather be. It's been an amazing ride. You know, we're going to see what the next minute brings, right? So I want to stay sober 1 minute at a time, 1 day at a time. You know, I always say I don't have yesterday, and I damn sure ain't got tomorrow. All I got is right now, and I'm going to make the most of every right now that I have, because the alternative is something that I will not survive. Will not do it. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here. I cannot thank you enough, Tim, for asking me to come speak. It is absolutely an honor. It's very humbling, and I want you to know that I love each and every one of my new 12 friends. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great evening.